Chasing a dream doesn't turn out always the way you imagined. For years, music was my passion. It was my literal everything. But over time, I realized that something was missing. Today, I'm sharing why I made the leap into social media marketing from music and how it changed my life forever. Let's get into it. So, I loved music, okay? Like, I literally loved everything about it. Loved practicing, playing an instrument, playing with other people, and on top of that, developing compositions that were my own. But as much as I cared about that, I felt stuck. So here's what I realized. First of all, I felt like there was a huge lack of ownership. I felt like I was just basically operating under the whims or the beck and call of venue owners, which was kind of a pain in the ass, to be quite honest with you. On top of that, even though I was making my own original music and I was just basically trying to, develop something that I could actually develop some ownership from, I still felt like I needed the approval of other people, which I did not love at all. And I felt I wanted to make music because I wanted to, not because I had to make other people like it in order to be successful. So that was a huge problem for me. Second of all, the pay. To be honest with you, the pay in music wasn't necessarily cutting it. No matter how much effort I was putting in, I felt like the financial returns weren't there, which basically made making a living almost an uphill battle or damn near impossible. I was basically working a 9-to-5 job at a school, and on top of that, literally going after school every single day to teach from 5 to 8 after I got off my job, which hopefully they will let me out early because I didn't have a class at the end of the day. And then on the weekends, teaching lessons, basically sax, flute, clarinet, whatever it is, in the neighborhood that I was living. So it was just like so much work, like literally so much work in order to make a couple $100 every single week, in addition to my full-time job, which was paying me well, but it was also a bunch of work that I had in preparation for as well. And the last thing was that I was basically living on other people's timelines. So I never really had the opportunity to create projects or do things when I wanted to. It was more so I wanted freedom, but music didn't give me that. So like I had to optimize my schedule to the gigs that I was playing, to the studio sessions that I was performing in or recording in, rehearsals that I had to attend outside of like literally doing stuff for me in my musical business. And then the unpredictable nature of the industry just kind of killed it for me. It was like, we're having rehearsal at this time, but nah, we're gonna have rehearsal in 2 days. And it was just really exhausting, like just super exhausting, basically trying to deal with a bunch of different people who were very unprofessional, and on top of that, try to get your pay from that as well. And let's not even talk about literally not getting paid on time, which frickin' sucks, but it is what it is, I love the craft, but I couldn't ignore the reality of the situation, and it wasn't sustainable for me and my life. And I can imagine it isn't sustainable for other people in their lives. They just haven't realized it yet. And I wanted to build something. So making the switch wasn't necessarily that easy, but I had to make a living somehow. So I needed to pay my bills. So what I did was that I saw a video of Alex Hormozy, the god himself, basically giving advice that if you have no quantifiable skills or no skills that would be able to give you a return of your investment immediately, the first thing that he would recommend would be to get into sales, and any types of sales like cold calling, door-to-door, this, that, and whatever. So that's exactly what I did. So I basically went into door-to-door sales. It wasn't advertised as that, but that's essentially what I did. It was door-to-door sales on a consistent basis. So I did that for a year, and to be honest, it was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot of fun being able to hang out with people, talk to people on a different basis, always developing the skills of business acumen as far as trying to have a conversation with somebody. It came to a point where my sales were dwindling because I lost belief in product, which is so real for all my salespeople out there. And my girlfriend at the time and my dad basically told me, you're too talented to go into this, and you need to be doing something that reflects something that you actually enjoy doing, and you should just get out of this. I basically got out of the sales job. So in all, I basically told myself all right, I'm just gonna reflect for the next however many months. I think it was 3 months in which that I was basically trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I just basically figured out that I love music, and there are certain characteristics about music that I absolutely adored, and I wanted to keep those in my life. Those specific characteristics, but not necessarily music in itself, right? So I realized in the time that I was basically doing music, I spent months basically doing, or years at this point, learning how to create content, right? And basically learning how to get views from just the content that I was creating. I basically made a channel about music reactions, and a lot of people like those videos. I got the YouTube channel to go up to 10,000 subscribers basically when I was doing that. But I realized that I loved making content, right? So Gary Vee came up onto my social media platforms, and then he had a bunch of videos at that time. I would say maybe a year and a half ago. He had so many videos basically saying like there's so much stuff that you could do within the social media realm, including being like a social media marketer for other businesses. And I was like, okay, well, I love making content, I love business, I'm probably gonna go into the social media marketing. That was actually the first time where I felt as if I was the owner of something, where I could build my own business, right, from the ground up, call the shots, and essentially create a career that worked on my terms. Does that make sense? And getting into marketing also opened doors for financial opportunities that I'd be able to commit to and almost felt limitless by, right, in comparison to music. Because social media is literally going to grow into a $127 billion industry in 2028, so I figured I wasn't tied to a fixed set amount of income, so I can literally make as much as I want depending on how much work I put in. And the last thing was that I felt that there was like an immense amount of freedom where I can create my schedule and work with clients that I actually wanted to work with, right? So if I didn't like somebody, if I didn't want to work with somebody, I could just basically say, heck no, I don't want to do any of that, you know what I'm saying? I could just work with people who valued my skills and then develop my craft that way, right? The best part though is that I realized the creativity that I was basically living on within the music industry, I could also put into producing content. So, which then that led to storytelling and eventually like bigger projects and this, that, and the third. So I'm really excited for what this life is going to develop for me. And since making the switch, I've made a 6-figure business in 1 year. I had developed millions of views for my clients. And on top of that, I've literally accomplished a Grammy nomination for one of my clients, and literally a pianist. Just check him out. His name is Zakai Curtis. Shout out to Kubop Lives in the album and Truth Revolution Records. But the main thing that I want to get across here is that if you're ever feeling stuck in a career that doesn't necessarily give you what you need and doesn't align with the goals that you have with your own life, you should take a step back. Ask yourself, what do I really want? And I know it's scary to let go of something familiar, but trust me, the right move can change your life. You just learned basically why I switched from music to social media marketing. Make sure to literally subscribe because I put videos out like this every single week. And if you want to watch a video on how I made a 6-figure business with just creating content, just click here and I'll see you in the next one.